I love it. It's basically usually all my DJ gigs actually have been on the West Coast so far. It's always California or San Francisco, LA, Seattle sometimes, but this is the first time in New York.
Alright. How has 2009 been going for you so far?
Yeah, really good. Kicked off with a big tour. I was on the road for like 6 weeks. Christmas started in India and then went down to Australia for New Year's Eve. New Zealand actually, New Year's Eve, and a few gigs from Australia. Then up to China for a couple of gigs and back down to Australia again. So it's a big long tour earlier this year. And then I took the time, so like February, March, working on new tracks in the studio, and now the DJing is starting again.
Alright. Would you like to share any other highlights of this year with us? Of this year?
This year, I mean, the highlights was probably so far the release of my track "Find Me" with Tanya, the singer, also, because I had like really massive support from Armin van Buuren. I think he played it on like 6 times on a set of trance, and it was genuinely well received. So it was definitely one of the highlights this year.
Alright. How did you first meet Tanya?
Just pure coincidence actually. I was working with another singer at the time. She came into the Mecklenburg originally, and as it turns out, so we just worked together really well, and been working on a few possible follow-ups now too. I was meant to have one ready for tonight, but didn't quite get it finished, so obviously played fine.
So you definitely have more projects in the works.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What qualities separate you from other DJs and producers?
I mean, that's a tough question.
It is.
There's a lot of obviously very talented guys around. I mean, in my building alone, in London, where my studio is placed, I'm right next door to the Above and Beyond guys, for example. They're obviously doing very well, and then other friends of mine, like this is whole sort of dance community in London, like Darren Tate and Simon Peterson, I work with occasionally. So yeah, you have to kind of compare yourself to those people. The question, like, how am I different? I don't know. I guess each of us, we have kind of our own style. Although it's all trance, obviously,
right.
but there's trance and there's trance. So some people are more melodic, like Above and Beyond, and some are more techy or more harder. And I don't know. I'm probably kind of. I like playing with different styles. Like I've done a few sort of more electro-y things recently too. So. I think what I could say about myself is that I've been around for quite some time now. Like my first big release was decided in '98, so that's like 11 years ago now. So I could say I'm kind of consistent in what I do, and I'm still doing what I've been doing for the last 15 years or so.
Right. Yeah, you've been in the EDM industry for over 10 years. What are the positive and negative changes that you've witnessed so far in the trance scene?
The negative changes are obviously that vinyl has died a death like a couple of years ago at least. And overall, in terms of selling music, it's all gone downhill really. Like those downloads are for free basically on the internet, so that's something that's not good. But just sort of like just gotta accept it how it is. And these days, you just gotta look at a track as just a promotional tool almost. Like you can't even expect to make mega bucks selling a tune on Beatport, let's say, or iTunes. It's sort of more like just a vehicle to get your name out, and then hopefully that translates to more DJ bookings, and that's where you can generate the income.
Okay. What can you tell us about the trance scene in the United Kingdom?
It's still around. It's obviously gone a bit smaller since like 1999, 2000 were like some big years for trance, 98 of course too. And a lot of clubs have gone like monthly instead of weekly. There's still one night in London called the Gallery at Ministry of Sound. Every Friday they plays trance. So there's still a scene going. But the funny thing is, most trans DJs and producers that I know, the majority of their gigs are actually abroad. So like I'm constantly jetting off to Russia and to any country, but